In this session, we're going to be looking at belief number 4, which is that God reveals himself. And that claim leads to the question, how is it possible for us as Christians to speak about God with any sense of authority? I think it's difficult to do that for a couple of reasons. Speaking about God with any kind of authority is difficult because of the sinfulness of human beings. We cannot see God. We can only see what is not God. But in the arena of things that can be seen and grasped, God does not occur. That's a quote from Benedict. So a part of what it means to believe is the recognition that what we can see and hear and touch is not all that there is to reality, that there is a reality that is metaphysical. There is a reality that goes beyond this physical plane that we can see. And there's limitations within fallen humanity that limit us from being able to see and comprehend God. So that's one obstacle to speaking about God with any kind of authority, is our lack of an ability to comprehend God and see God. But a second obstacle lies in God's character himself, the very greatness of God, the immensity of God. And there is a sense in which God is an unknowable mystery. The Greek word for mystery, mysterion, is related to the word mayin, meaning to close the eyes or to close the mouth. And so because our eyes are in some measure closed to God, we cannot see God completely as he is in his essence. Because our eyes are in some measure closed, our mouth also has to be in some measure closed. We cannot say all that there is to say about God. His greatness exceeds our capacity to speak about him in absolute certainty in all ways. Both the prophets of the Old Testament and the apostles of the New Testament speak about God's unknowability. We see this in Psalm 97. Clouds and thick darkness are all around him. Isaiah 55, the Lord says through the prophet, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." John 1, no one has ever seen God. 1 John 4, no one has ever seen God. If we love one another, God abides in us, and his love is perfected in us. So we can see God in other people, but not directly. And 1 Timothy 6 speaks of God who alone has immortality, who dwells in unapproachable light, whom no one has ever seen nor can see. So in light of these obstacles then, the sinfulness of humanity and the greatness of God, it really raises that question, how then can we speak about God with authority? If God in his essence is an unknowable mystery, how can we say anything like the Apostles' Creed or the Nicene Creed, or something as simple as God is a Trinity? How can we make those kinds of declarations with certainty? Well, the classic Christian response has been God can be known because of revelation. That God has revealed himself, and therefore God is knowable. So the unknowable God, the God who is unknowable in his essence, has nevertheless disclosed himself to his creation and has accommodated himself to the fallenness of humanity, to the sinfulness of humanity, in a way that he can be grasped and understood. So the sinfulness of humanity and the greatness of God's own character are overcome as obstacles because of God. God is so great that he can disclose himself even to sinful human beings, even in a way that his greatness can be seen. Follow this argument, if you would. As Christians, we affirm that God is personal, that God is a person. God is not an impersonal force. God is not the universe, as in some New Age affirmations. God is a person. God is a personal being. Personal beings communicate and disclose themselves to other personal beings. And therefore, we should expect that if God is personal, that God somewhere, somehow has disclosed himself, has revealed himself, has communicated something of his own being. Which then leads to the question, how has God done that? How has God revealed himself? And the classic Christian response is twofold. God has spoken through general revelation, and God has spoken through special revelation.